fundamentally, the way that I look at why partnerships. So why do you need partnerships in order to do business? And there's two ways in which I look at this. There's, first of all, how do you take some sort of core technology, and excuse me, but I'm going to take it very much from an IT, a technology point of view, because that's the world that I work in. So how do you take a core product, turn it into a whole product, and then turn it into some sort of a solution that somebody will buy? And the second part is, once you build that solution, whatever it might be, how do you then take it to market? And both of these processes, the key pieces in that is how do you build partnerships to make that happen? And who do you partner with, and what do you do in that space? So, first of all, core products, whole products. The key questions are, what are you selling and what is the customer buying? They're not necessarily the same thing, and there's definitely a difference in perception as to what the customer has, and it comes back very much to what Stuart's saying. The critical thing in all of this is to understand and talk to the customer and understand what they want and how they want to buy it. So what are you selling? What is the customer buying? You could be selling just a small technology building block that's embedded in somebody's other equipment. The terminology, I'm afraid acronyms are in my world all over the place, but OEMs, other equipment manufacturers. So it might be a tiny technology component that really all you're doing is selling it on to somebody that they then embed into a larger machine, and as far as they're concerned, you're just a tiny little supplier and that's it. They do everything else. But typically that's not going to be the way. And again, coming back to some of the stuff that Stuart said, what you need to do usually is understand how the process of your particular piece, your product, your solution, how that flows through the chain and how it gets out to the market in the end place. Go talk to the salespeople, understand the salespeople for your customer, what they're doing, how do they pull it through. There have been classic situations. There was one time when I worked for Intel, I was running the ProShare video conferencing business within Intel. And we had a PC-based product. This is back in the 80s, so it's well before the web-based Skype video conferencing, all of those things. We sold a product. We sold a card that you stuck in a PC with a camera, and that was the video conferencing piece. We sold this through the key telecoms operators across Europe. So we had BT, Telecom Italia, Deutsche Telekom, France Telecom, and so on. We were selling it through them. What happened there, though, was that the salespeople that we had were completely commissioned on how many product they sold out. So our German salesman was a brilliant salesman. He stuffed Deutsche Telekom full of all of their warehouses were groaning with the size of the inventory that he managed to sell, and he got huge commissions for it. Problem is, he wasn't thinking about how Deutsche Telekom then sold it through. And what happened is, after 6 months or so of all of this inventory in the warehouses in Deutsche Telekom, some accountant within Deutsche Telekom said, we've got to get rid of this. They then dumped that product on the market and killed the whole of that that video conferencing product market for at least 2 years. And in the end, very soon after that, Intel dumped the business completely and gave it away to a competitor. It was just that classic thing of not understanding exactly the process through and working with your customer as a partner to understand how they're going to sell it through and be able to work through the processes. So even the biggest companies are going to falter in that sort of area. So types of partner to engage with, the complementary technology vendors, a product, a core product always needs some other partnerships to bring that into a complete product. And then by using systems integrators or solution and service providers, turn it into whatever level of service or solution that needs to be sold in terms of who your customer is and what they're buying and taking it to market. Then solutions to market. Who's your customer? You know, are you selling business to business, or are you selling business to consumer? What types of partner do you need to co-sell or co-market? Is it about strategic alliances, so that you can just stand up alongside somebody and say, you know, we've each got great products, buy them because they work together. You don't have to have any commercial relationship between those two companies, but both be talking about the same solution at the end of the day. And then sales channels, retailers, distributors, resellers, systems integrators. Those are the key things. And partnering, and the key piece of this, the most important piece of this, is treating your sales channels as partners as opposed to customers. Because the more that you treat them as customers and just a supplier, buyer relationship, it's not the way to make it most effective. So that's kind of the piece that I wanted to say in terms of partnering to create complete solutions and then take them to market. A couple of examples. So one example I wanted to start to go through. Who here knows of the 2 Degrees network?
Is it Martin Chilcott's?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay, so about half of the people in the room. The 2 Degrees network, and I think there's to some extent it's a social media network. So there's about 4,000 or 5,000 members worldwide on this network. They're people, and it happens to be run by Martin Chilcott, who's based in Oxford. So he runs the network from there. He's also got an office now in New York. So there's 2 offices to run this network. This network, to start with, it's a social media network for people involved in everything to do with sustainability, green technology, all of those different areas. However, it does have some really interesting differences. First of all, when you go onto the website, and it's 2degreesnetwork.com, you register for a sub-network. So you may have interest in smart metering or biodiesel, or it could be anything of a number of different areas within that whole sustainability thing. But when you go into it then, so let me just step back a bit. World's leading business, it's actually 25,000 members. Members use 2 Degrees to connect with, learn from one another, collaborate to solve. And what I'm going to show you is some idea of the collaboration, exactly what happens. Source practical ideas, gain access to expertise, it's free membership, and then there's a managed fee-paying service to help companies engage their key stakeholders. So it starts by being a typical free social media network where you can learn an awful lot of information. An aerial view, so you come in, you join a network, and you get the typical, a lot of news, a lot of information about your particular chosen area. Smart metering, biodiesel, whatever. Whatever that area is, there'll be people posting stuff and information regularly so that you can see what it is. The thing that really differentiates it is, I'm afraid it sort of moved a bit, but what differentiates this is that you can then, as a company, you can put a problem, a question, to the sub-network. So if you've got a problem with your biodiesel system that you're trying to build, and there's a specific technical issue, you can put it to the network, to that sub-network. That sub-network will fix it, but there's a commercial cost in that and a commercial return to the people who stand up and give you consultancy. So it's much more than just, it's a kind of crowdsourcing, but it's much more than just a free social media network. It isn't just talk. An example of that was B&Q. So what they had is they had a problem, 100% peat replacement from bag media by 2020. So they've got a task that they've got in terms of getting rid of all their peat facility or products that they sell in stores. So the challenge objectives: identify peat substitutes, explore the challenges, discover opportunities for partnership. And what they did then is they created an advisory board using the 2 Degrees network. They used that community, and then they used that to crowdsource and get lots of different feedback from different parties to try to help them solve that problem. They engaged thought leaders across the forestry, pulp, waste, etc. They identified the clear criteria for success, gained insights into several peak replacement strategies, and basically then could move forward. There was a cost involved in that, but it was an ability to then crowdsource across the 25,000 members in 2 Degrees network, at least the subset that are involved in that particular area, and start to build that solution. So this is, using technology, using social media. It's a way of being able to do that. So that was one example. Now, what I want to do, so bear with me for a few minutes. So this is a brand new initiative that's just starting, based within Oxfordshire, and trying to link, and coming back to Steve's initial points about linking together the fantastic science resources that we have within the county, together with the universities, the business schools, etc., and start to get more of that collaboration. To some extent, we are playing catch-up with what's happened in Cambridge because of the way they've approached things, but we have such phenomenal resources here. I think we can do, we can certainly take some of their ideas and how you make things happen, and you can probably make it work better. What we're trying to do, I'm sorry about the management, what this initiative is, Science Entrepreneur Network, is an initiative that's based on the European Space Agency Business Incubation Centre at Hartwell. But it's a network that connects all of it. The idea behind it is to connect potential new entrepreneurs and have people like MBA graduates from Side Business School and entrepreneurs, unlike the school, but then wider county, people who are doing stuff within the county, together with mentors, and start to build an initiative, house them, provide facilities, seed funding through the European Space Agency Business Incubation Centre, and start to see if we can commercialise some of the IP, the patents that are available through those European bodies. So what we started with you start with a traditional incubator that only looks at management, knowledge, facilities, maybe some access to finance. What we're planning to do is turn that into a different sort of combination and try to build small teams that then leverage the resources that we have. So we're providing some management access. We're working very closely with Side Business School, Oxford Brookes. We're also linking into Judge Business School in Cambridge because there's, again, a lot of facilities there. Knowledge, building out that network of mentors and experienced entrepreneurs across the county and wider. Seed capital, providing, again, through the European Space Agency, they've got significant funding already available for startups within their incubation centre. It doesn't have to be on space stuff, it can be on anything, any technology entrepreneurship. Facilities, they've got facilities there, though they don't, you don't have to reside within that space, and critically also access to technology. One of the key things here is where we're starting is we've got 450 uncommercialized patents from the European Space Agency that we have access to. There will be something like just a 5% royalty charge at the end of the day if we manage to do something with that. But there's 450 patents on the table. We've got to work out what the hell they are, but they're in different areas like material science, geolocation, the whole science-based patents, and also patents from the the STFC, Science and Technology Facilities Council. And the idea is to start to try to build some sort of an initiative, some sort of a momentum behind how we put together teams to either take some of those patents and add them to an idea you already have, or how do you commercialize those outright. So in terms of the bodies that we got involved, we've got Side Business School, Judge Business School, there's the Side Global Entrepreneur Challenge, the business alumni from the university, we've got service providers like Charles Russell, Grant Thornton, seed capital through European Investment Fund, the facilities at the European Space Agency, and through the STFC also up in Manchester at Daresbury. Technology from European Space Agency, Rutherford Appleton Lab, and we're also talking to King's College and University of Bristol, a number of different, as well as Oxford University. So the whole idea, and hopefully, I put brand question mark there, hopefully by building this initiative, and we can start to establish a network, a brand called the Science Entrepreneur Network, and take it with a starting point here in Oxfordshire within Science Vale, link in, at least initially, Cambridge, London through London Imperial, other parts of the country, and then through the European Space Agency take that Europe-wide as well. The whole idea is this is maybe an initiative that might start to engender and bring together the scientists, the engineers, the entrepreneurs, the mentors, try to bring some of that together and see if something happens. And if we can get access to portfolios of patents from different publicly funded bodies, it'd be great. And use some of that entrepreneurialism and innovation and just see kind of serendipity what can happen. Putting together completely unrelated, to some extent what Stuart was talking about, completely unrelated things and see if there's something that could fit.